Hello, everyone. This is Eric L. Dunavant, the Mindset Disruption Strategist. Welcome to another episode of Redefining Success. And I'm excited today. I've got Alex Ramirez, who is the modern gentleman. And I'm excited to kind of just capture his story, just give you a little bit of background. I had the opportunity to appear on his podcast because he reached out to me about the work that he's doing and the fantastic things that he's got going on. And I'm like, well, you got to come be on my podcast as well. And so I've had a chance to learn a little bit about his story, hear some of the things that he's working on. This guy, I'm just going to tell you, it's going to be special today because he's young, but it's one of those, for those of you who are older like me, like, man, I wish I would have figured that stuff out when I was younger. Maybe I would have made less mistakes. So it's always awesome when you can watch someone who's beginning at a younger age to get all the stuff about redefining success that we begin to realize, and then think about the trajectory of what's possible for someone like that in their life. So Alex, thank you for being here, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited as well, man. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time. Hey, so here's the first question I always ask. So it's a Saturday afternoon. I've invited all my friends over. I've got the barbecue grill going. I got hamburgers and hot dogs on, anything else you may want. But I've invited all my friends over for the barbecue as well. So my friends are here, and I'd love for you to introduce yourself to my friends.
That's interesting. All right. Well, then I'm guessing that if you invited me to your, barbecue to spend some time with you, with your family, with your friends at your house, it's because, our core values, our mission, and our beliefs align. Right? Yeah. Align or are very alike. You talk about redefining success. I talk about being a modern gentleman, which is basically the same thing. And what I would say is, hey, what's up, guys? My name is Alex Ramirez. I'm here. This is, I guess I brought my wife. This is my wife, right? We're married. We're 21 years of age. We have a daughter. Here's my daughter as well. And I'm a modern gentleman. Like all I talk about, all I want to be is and all I want to help other people become, right, is a modern gentleman, which is physical freedom. I talk about physical freedom, emotional freedom, sentimental freedom, financial freedom, and it's about having it all. And I guess I don't know if that would be the best way. I don't know, man. I've never been to a barbecue, but yeah,
we need to change. You've never been to a barbecue. We need to change that.
I know. Yeah,
we really.
That's crazy, right? I just realized that, man.
That is crazy if you've never been to one. Hey, here's the thing that's most intriguing to me, right? So at 21 years of age, if you were to ask me, so I don't until we connected on Facebook, I don't know you, but if you were to ask me like, hey, are there any modern gentlemen? And it'll be like, yeah, but you know what? They're probably guys who are older because I just don't see a lot of that in a younger generation but what I would say is, but man, it gets me pumped to see you being like, this is my mission. This is what gets me excited. This is what gets me going. So I think what would be interesting for me, could you tell the story? Like, how do you go from kind of growing up to recognizing, no, what I need to be is a modern gentleman, and then even the path of discovering that? And I mean, we may take that some other places, but I mean, for 21 years of age to recognize that what the world needs is modern gentlemen, there's got to be a story there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it started with some darkness, right? Because I wouldn't be able to appreciate the light, my body being fit, being healthy, being able to make money, having a daughter and a wife. I wouldn't be able to appreciate that, and if I hadn't gone through some dark times. And those dark times didn't start with me, actually. They started with generations and generations ago, with my dad's dad. But I'm gonna tell you about my father. So my father, he was a drug addict and alcoholic for almost 2 decades, and he had and through that journey, he had 7 different kids with 7 different women. So he spent 2 decades, about 14 years, having kids all over the place, drinking and doing drugs, right? And his dad did the same, and his dad's dad did the same, right? Kids all over the place, drugs, alcohol. And just repeating the same cycles. And my dad, he was when I was 14, I didn't grow up with him. He left when I was less than 1. But when I was 14, he gave me some advice. He said that if you want to be successful, happy, and fulfilled, which is the name of my podcast, The Gentleman Says Say Chef Talk with Alex Ramirez, if you want to be successful, happy, and fulfilled, you need to become a gentleman. And he told me this in Spanish, right? He said, caballero. And he was like, and the way you do this is by achieving true freedom. And there's 4 freedoms that you have to achieve in a specific order, he said. He said, physical freedom is first, taking care of your body and your mind, right? That's first, learning how to love yourself. And then the second one is emotional freedom, which is about self-mastery, but you can't master something that you don't know. And emotional freedom is about getting in tune with who you are, getting in tune with what you want and where you're going, and getting in tune with God as well. So, so that's, and then that would give you self-mastery, physical and emotional freedom. And once you had those 2, the financial freedom was going to be very simple, which is the 3rd freedom that you should go for. You spend the next couple of years working on those 3. You end up with a business that provides a nice lifestyle with a lot of confidence and conviction around who you are and feeling and looking great because you love yourself. From there, you can give yourself the opportunity to go and look for the woman that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, build a family with, and keep on growing your empire with. That's sentimental freedom, becoming a husband and a father. And that should be the last one. And my dad said that the reason most men fuck up is because they do things backwards.
Yep.
They're missing this sense of significance from within, which they try to fill with all the wrong things, like drugs, alcohol, or women. In his case, he was 18 when he got someone pregnant. That was my mom. She was 15. For the first thing that he went for his sentimental freedom, before learning how to make money, before learning how to love himself or how to take care of himself, he went to become a husband and a father. So now he's, trying to provide. He's a husband and a father. Now he's working really hard on the financial freedom, investing all of his time there.
Yep.
Failing and doing drugs and alcohol to, so that it doesn't feel as bad, I guess. I don't know. And then neglecting his wife and kids, not making any money, not getting in tune with who he is, what he wants, and where he's going. And obviously not taking care of himself, doing everything wrong and backwards.
Yeah.
And that's how he said most men end up fat, poor, ugly, alcoholic, divorced, broke, and alone. Right. And that's where the story starts of realizing that the world needs modern gentlemen, because when I was 14, when he was giving me this advice, but I didn't listen. I didn't listen. And from 14 to 18, man, I was a drug addict and an alcoholic. I was missing that sense of significance that he was talking about, which I tried to fill with all the wrong things, being the one that drank the most, being the one that did the most of anything that they would put on the table, and just trying to fit in with people, right? And that was from 14 to 18. At 18, I got my girlfriend pregnant.
Oh, wow. So
I started repeating the same cycles, or the same cycles that had been going on for generations and generations. I started going down the same path. And at 18, when I got my girlfriend pregnant, I got extremely scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want that baby. And part of that reason was because my mother had me at 15. I talked about that a little bit. And growing up, she told me a story. She said that if you have a kid at a young age, you're going to be a fuck up. You're not going to amount to anything great. You're going to fail and you won't do anything with your life. That's how she felt, right?
Yeah.
From having me at such a young age.
Yeah.
And it was her story. But, like her telling it to me, I was like, it became mine. So at 18, when I got my girlfriend pregnant, I was like, damn, I'm going to be a fuck up. I'm not going to amount to something great. I'm going to fail and I won't do anything with my life. And I didn't want that baby, man. I didn't want that baby. And me and my girlfriend decided to go with abortion. Right. And my girlfriend ended up taking all of that's all the dark, right? That is now making me appreciate the light of being a modern gentleman.
Yeah.
But yeah, my girlfriend ended up taking 40 some pills. On Google, which is where we got our information from, it said that she was going to be in pain and bleed, and that's exactly what happened. She was in pain for a couple of nights, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, had a lot of pain and bled everything out during those 3 days. And it worked. A month went by, she got her period just as she normally would, on the dates that she normally does, confirming that it had worked. And then another month went by and she didn't get her period. And we were like, holy crap, what's happening, right?
Yeah.
We just went through this and it worked. Now it's not working again. We bought a test. She took it. She was pregnant again. So we repeated the same procedure. She took more pills. And again, for 3 nights, she couldn't sleep. She was in pain. And she bled everything out. Right. And a month went by. Prom was going on. We were graduating high school. and like she wore tight dresses. She didn't look pregnant. She didn't feel pregnant. Nobody knew that she was pregnant. We didn't know. And we graduated, and I was still that like drug addicted kid who just wanted to drink and do drugs and party and fit in with everyone. No mission, no goals, no purpose. And I graduated from high school. And then from one week to another, out of nowhere, I became the father of a premature baby that was born at 5.5 months of gestation because the previous abortion attempts had not worked. And that was the worst thing that ever happened to me, man. I was like, I did everything backwards. I became a husband and a father first. Yeah. I didn't know how to make money, I didn't have any goals and any mission, any purpose. I didn't know who I was or what I wanted or where I was going. Yep. And obviously I wasn't taking care of myself. Yeah. Right. And that's what happened. It was like the most traumatic thing I've ever been through. Like it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I actually don't remember like a couple of, like some months, like I don't remember them just because, I don't know, I guess I blocked myself from like going through that. And that's what happened. So now like I'm here, like not knowing what to do. And yeah. And it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I had a baby that was this big, right? Wow. That could literally fit in the palm of my hand, that was connected to a bunch of things at the hospital that I previously tried to kill multiple times before that. And that turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me, man. Yeah. Right? It turned out to be the catalyst for my growth, the catalyst for finding out who I am, what I want, and where I'm going. And that was what happened 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago, I didn't even know how to speak English, so it's been like a tremendous journey, 3-year journey of growth and personal development and everything. But that happened 3 years ago. I'm about to get married to my girlfriend. I've been calling her my wife for the past 3 years just because I am committed. But we're finally going to get married this November. Fantastic. My daughter, man, she's absolutely beautiful. She's healthy and nothing is wrong with her. Wow. And like, I don't know how else you would call this, right? Like, wow. Like, I don't know how else you would call this other than a miracle. Yep. And that was the catalyst of like getting back on track into my greatness, which I believe everyone has. Everyone has like greatness. Everyone has like something special with them, like a purpose. And, I was fortunate enough to be able to go through something really traumatic that helped me get back into my greatness. And now I'm here, like trying to spread that message of being a modern gentleman, which means, having it all basically, which means achieving true freedom, physical freedom, taking care of your body and your mind, emotional freedom, getting in tune with who you are and where you're going and what it's that you want, getting in tune with God as well, financial freedom, and, sentimental freedom, being a good husband and father, a loving, caring, powerful, respectful, humble, and intelligent husband and father. And, for me, being a modern gentleman is like realizing your God-given unlimited potential as well, right? And stepping into it. And and that's, that's the story behind it. And in the past 3 years, that's what I've been focusing on, right? And I didn't have success until like a couple of months ago. So I've been able to crack all four. I can say that, I have it all. And now I'm going to like go out and have even more at a higher level, right? Yeah. While contributing to people. But yeah, that's it. That's basically it, man.
So let me ask you this, because there's a couple pieces I want to fill in that I'm just really, really curious about. So your dad, like, is going through life. It's not working well, but at 14, he begins to tell you, hey, this is how to do it. Who told him? Like, how did he even get that information?
Yeah. That's a great question, man. Well, I guess I'm not sure who told him, man, but I guess he figured it out.
Is he living that life now, or was he simply the conduit to you?
He is. Yeah, okay. He is. Right. So, but imagine going through, through like 15 years of, because he obviously had a voice in his head telling him, no, like, this is not it. Like, just like it didn't feel right. Right. Yeah. Then like his addiction, whatever, like led him through that path. But then he always had like that battle in his mind, in which he knew that what he was doing wasn't right, but for some reason he chose to do it anyways. Yeah. So imagine going through that for like almost 2 decades. You learn something, because that's what he said. He said that, like, let me tell you about the lessons that I learned from fucking up my entire life, and then give them to me.
So Alex, okay, so that's kind of your dad's experience, what you didn't, I mean, you're like, hey, this was really bad and it was dark. And then I turned back to this, but like, tell me more about the journey of that, right? I mean, so like, is there kind of like one day you woke up, you're like, oh my goodness, this is what my dad said. And you're like, well, I hope what I'm doing now doesn't work. Let me try it his way. And what did it, because there's always this journey of finding out, because today it works, but you knew what wasn't working, but you weren't 100% sure what would work. So tell us a little bit about the journey of like, okay, so today I'm going to try this.
The past 3 years then.
Yeah.
It's been crazy, right? Like 3 years is nothing, man. That's crazy.
I know.
So basically, I actually went to college because I got the Obama scholarship, even though I did, man, like I literally did high school high. Like I would, had my pen with me, my wax pen and, a couple of other things. But like I would go before going to first period, I would like go and get high, go to my class. And then I like during, I would like start to go down and I would go to the restroom to get high again. And then after my first period, before second period, in that 5-minute break, I would go to the restroom, get high. Wow. I literally did high school high. And for some reason, I got the Obama scholarship, right? Which was a blessing because it's like a full ride scholarship. It pays for absolutely everything. So I went to college, right? So like, well, first of all, it was the summer. During that summer, like it was the most painful summer I've ever lived through because my daughter was like this big and she was connected to the, at the hospital. And I didn't love her, right? Like I didn't love her. I didn't love myself. I didn't love my girlfriend, my future wife. And it was really painful, man. It was really painful to go through that. And, like 2 weeks into that journey, I just like went to my dad.
Okay.
I took a flight, right? 2 weeks after that. And I went to Guatemala for a month. So wow. I basically abandoned my wife and my kid, right? Like, and if you talk to my wife, that's how she felt, right? Like she was like, oh, she's never going to come back and I'm done. Like, this is done. Right. And, I was able to like get some wisdom from my father, right? Like I went back to him to Guatemala. He lives in Central America. And I just spent a month there, just like, taking it all in. Okay. It was the summer, so I didn't have anything to do, but he talked to me, he like coached me, and he did it with love, right? Which was great. He didn't like criticize me or anything. And then now, like spending a month over there, now I had like a more of a clear head. He reminded me of what it meant to be a gentleman. Now I call it a modern gentleman. So when I came back, I just came back, like ready to crush it, right? But when I came back, I was still like, I had like the withdrawal, like I went back to doing drugs. And then I was like, fuck, like, because I didn't want to do that, but for some reason I did. And then I was like, I'm going to stop. And then a week later, I would like find myself doing drugs again. And there was a whole process of like going back and fighting it and then going back and fighting it. And then until finally I stopped needing it because I gave myself a purpose, right? So the first thing that I went into, when it comes to entrepreneurship was I got recruited by PHP. It's a insurance company, network marketing company to sell insurance. I got recruited into that. And I gave myself purpose. I was on a mission to help as many people as I could from the middle and the lower income class, right? As many people as I could, Hispanic people from the middle and the lower income class in the United States to get out of a generational cycle of poverty and build wealth. Yep. So I stopped being a drug addict when I gave myself a purpose. Like I didn't need that. I didn't need that anymore. Right? Because I guess I did it to feel good, or to like to try to fill a void that I felt in my heart. I guess that's the reason that I did that, right? Yeah. But then I had this thing that I was working on that really fulfilled me. That was to help other people. That was not focused on me, but to help other people, and that I could really make an impact. And I just started focusing on that, and I was really successful in insurance very fast while going to college. And I just used college to like, I didn't have any expenses. I had a place to live. They were paying for everything. So for one entire year, I didn't have to worry about money, right? Which is the number one worry of, male entrepreneurs with kids. So I didn't have to worry about that. And I could just focus on, and school has always been easy for some reason. but yeah, I started going to college. Everything was being paid for, my gas, even my clothes, man. It was crazy. And I mean, it was great, right? And I'm really thankful for it. And while I was doing that, I was able to like make my business take off, right? Like my insurance business. And every single dollar that I made, I invested in myself.
Wow.
So in the past 3 years, I've invested over $300,000 in myself. Well, about $300,000, definitely more than 200. I've lost the count, but yeah, about more than $200,000. Maybe it's getting, it's getting close to 300. Just like getting into masterminds, coaches, courses, books, seminars and stuff. And every single dollar that I made, I just reinvested back into myself, just to like try to wake up and because I did that, I came into people that talked about being a modern gentleman, but they just call it a different thing, like a king, a lion, you call it, what do you call it? You call it like
I call it redefining success.
Right. Exactly. Right. And it just became like really clear and evident. And I'm like realizing it, right? And I was pulled to this, man. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I truly believe that this is my calling. Like, even if I didn't want to do this, like I would feel like a pull. I would feel like a pull pulling me. And in order for me to ignore that pull, I think I would have to do drugs, I guess. And I believe that's why people are into drugs and alcohol and everything that they're in, right? Because they have a calling that they're ignoring, and in order to like ignore this calling, they have to sedate themselves with drugs, alcohol, social media.
Here's an interesting thing that I see go on a lot, and you got into this. It's also a spiritual principle. Jesus made the statement. He said, "Love your neighbor as yourself." And the challenge that I see most people run into is they hold on to the love your neighbor. And then even in leadership, we have this entire idea of, I got to sacrifice. I got to sacrifice. And we pour ourselves out completely. What we're told is like great leaders, even, the eaters that eat last and all this other stuff, which, I mean, I love Simon Sinek, but I mean, at the end of the day, there's this entire idea that it's about the sacrifice. It's about the grind. And that is not what Jesus did not say that. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. And so what you discovered was how to love you.
Exactly.
Right. And so the world is even, when you talk about redefining success, if we don't listen close enough, we never hear that it's okay to love us.
Yeah. So man, there's two things that I found out, man. Honor your mother and your father, and you'll have like a, like a long life. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it says, but it's basically something like that. And all right, cool. Honor your mother and your father. All right. But then the other thing that it says, it's, like through the son, you get to the father. Something I know how to say it in Spanish, so I don't know if it's the same in English, but like through the son, which is Jesus, right? You get through the father, which is God, right? Okay. But like Jesus, okay, I get it. All right. Through Jesus, I'll get to God. But like Jesus, he's not here. Like, how am I going to like get to God through him? Right. What I hear from that, through the son, you get to the father, is that, aren't you, like God's son? Ain't me God's son? Ain't everyone God's son? So by loving the son, you get to the father, right? So then you got to start obviously from loving yourself. You got to love the son as you love yourself. And that's what I found out, man. And I just go through life just loving people and serving, and I just go through life. Go through life like serving them and just seeing people as what they can be instead of what they are. That's it.
I mean, every single person out there, one of the things I like to say, every person out there is suffering from self-doubt.
Exactly.
Everyone. Yeah. Until you find a way to reprogram yourself. And it's the way that we can love ourselves is to speak truth over ourselves, like what you learned there. I mean, and the importance of that. And then the other thing is, anytime you get a chance to speak words over someone else, don't hold back, because they're carrying around self-doubt. It's just powerful.
And yeah, man. And that's the only thing that is holding me back. That's why, like, I talk about this God-given unlimited potential. Like right now, I'm about to throw an event in a week and a half. Like about a little bit more than 100 people are going to go in. And bro, I'm just like 20, like I'm 21, you know, and obviously there's people that are younger doing this, right? Like
Sure.
Caleb Maddox, you know, like that guy became a millionaire when he was 14. But the only thing that was holding me back from like throwing my own events and filling it up with people and like blowing up their minds for 8 hours, like in a 1 day event, and then offering them at the end, obviously, right? You know, an opportunity to keep on working with me and to implement everything that I teach them was me. Like there's literally nothing. It's the easiest thing in the world.
That's it.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's me.
Yeah.
It's that's it. Like if you want to speak on stage or like throw your own events, like the only thing that is holding you back from doing that is you, because it's there. Everything is there. You just go out and you just go out. Gotta go out, believe in yourself, and do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. We're not going to have enough time to get into this too. I want to make one quick comment, and then I'm going to, the question that's coming. But one of the things I love about what you put in here, and I keep thinking, because I've got a 21-year-old son, I've got an 18-year-old son, I've got a 16-year-old daughter. I know how I grew up. I know that things that I went through, and I've watched other people, right? But you're so right. This entire idea of when we're in the middle of pain and we can't love ourselves, a lot of time what we do is run to the opposite sex, thinking that they can solve it. And what that ends up doing is just putting us into the cycle that we don't even see that we're in. So I love this, the way that your dad laid this out from a physical standpoint, and, just emotional, financial, sentimental, all of that just is so powerful. And I call it personally is just living backwards, living upside down, is that the rest of the world, doesn't look at it that way. They think it's okay. Even you look at movies, romanticizes the relationship. You got to chase after the girl. You got to do this. No, you got to love you and take care of you first. Forget that, until it's time, because if you're not emotionally ready, you're just not ready. So I love that.
Yeah. And then what most people do is, they're walking around like a capital C, looking for another capital C to fulfill, to fill them. Like that's why you hear things like my other half or stuff like that, right? So you're like, people are walking around like a capital C, looking for someone else that would complete them. And then by definition, that's a relationship that is codependent on each other,
Yeah,
right? And the best that can get to is conditional love.
Yeah.
But what we're really seeking is unconditional love. Absolutely. But you can have that, right? Like you can't love something that you need. Yeah. Right. And like by doing that, by like walking around like a capital C and finding someone else that completes you, you got in yourself and in a relationship in which it's not going to work, because people change, people's needs change. And in a couple of years, you're going to be like, damn, this person is not, like not fulfilling my needs anymore. And you don't know why, because you don't even know what your needs are. Right. But you're resentful to that other person because they're not completing your needs, which you don't even know what they are. Yeah. And then boom, it doesn't work. Yeah. Right. So what you need to do is, instead of like walking around like a capital C and then looking for some other capital C that would complete you, you got to focus on becoming the full circle yourself. I love that. And then find someone else who is the full circle, right? And go out and crush life together. I love that. That's fantastic. Alex, this has been awesome. Hey, if people are listening to the show, they want to follow you, get in touch with you, just find out more about what you're doing, what's the best way to do that? Yeah. So, man, my social media, like there's a couple of things that I do. I build people, I build teams, I build networks, and I create content about it. So my Instagram is the Modern Gentleman SHF 1, right? So the Modern Gentleman, yep, SHF 1. Okay. And that's it. That would be the best place, because I create content about what I do, and yeah, it's life-changing content. And if people go there, they're gonna be able to, take an insight or two that will help them, keep on making progress in their lives. And then that's it. That would be the best place to find me. Fantastic. This question's coming. And maybe at 21, this is a harder one to think about, but it's the question I always ask every single guest before we finish the show, which is, in 3 generations, what do you hope that your great grandchildren remember about you? I actually have it written down, man. I have it written down. So, and it's this, look, that, like strong men create good times create weak men create bad times create strong men. And then it's a cycle, right? Of up and down, up and down, up and down. What I want to be remembered for is, I want to be remembered for an even stronger, more evolved, wiser, more intelligent man. Like I'm living good times right now,
Yeah.
But instead of being a weak man, I want to be an even stronger, more evolved, wiser, more intelligent man who creates even better times and raises beautiful kids. So my daughter, I'm intentionally raising her to be stronger than ever, more evolved than ever, wiser than ever, right? And then she's not going to be the only one, right? Men and women who change the world, right? And like I want to be like I'm going to create like a Bible or some sort of system and process to like become a modern gentleman. So what I hope, like 3 generations from now remember from me is this movement, this modern gentleman movement.
I love it.
And even though like everyone is going to have their own calling, their own purpose, their own businesses, the way to be successful at it and to be the best at whatever each and every one of my disciples decided to be or do, the foundation for that will always be being a modern gentleman.
Fantastic. Alex, thank you for being here. It's been incredible.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Shared a great story, and I know it's going to really challenge everyone. You are on the road to redefining success, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. I look forward to being with you again next time. God bless you. Have a fantastic day.